You know that feeling when you order a UPS because the listing shows a sleek rack mount unit with pure sine wave and remote management, only to find it humming in the corner of your server room and barely keeping the lights on when the power flickers? I've been there spending a weekend trying to figure out why the devices I was trying to protect kept rebooting, and realizing the UPS I bought simply didn't have enough capacity or the right type of output for my equipment. That hesitation is real, and it's why I wanted to dig deeper before I hit record today. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Eaton Tripp Lite series SMART750RMXL2UN is positioned as an entry-level, rack-mountable UPS for small to medium IT setups. It's not a home office backup strip, and it's not a high-end data center solution either. It sits in that sweet spot where a growing business or a dedicated hobbyist wants to protect a few servers, network switches, and maybe a NAS, without blowing the budget on a 2 kVA tower. The first thing I asked myself was, does it actually deliver the safety net it promises, or is it another looks good on paper disappointment? From the specs, you can see it's a 750VA, 750W unit that outputs pure sine wave power. That matters because many modern power supplies, especially on servers, storage arrays, and high-end networking gear, expect a clean waveform. A simulated or stepped wave can cause overheating or intermittent failures, which is why the pure sine wave claim is more than marketing fluff. In my research, I found that the unit's automatic voltage regulation, AVR, smooths out brownouts without draining the battery, a subtle but useful feature when you're on a grid that occasionally dips. The built-in network card lets you monitor load, battery health, and runtime from a browser, which is a real time saver compared to pulling out a laptop and opening a proprietary console every few weeks. Who should actually buy this? If you run a small server rack, think a single 1U or 2U server hosting a website, a VoIP PBX, or a couple of gigabit switches, this UPS can back you up for roughly 10 minutes at half load. That's enough to trigger a graceful shutdown script or give you a window to switch to a generator. It also works well for a network closet that houses post switches feeding security cameras. The pure sine wave keeps the switches from glitching, and the network management interface lets the IT admin set email alerts when battery runtime drops below a threshold. The extended runtime option means you can bolt on an extra battery pack later, so you're not locked into the out-of-the-box capacity if your needs grow. On the flip side, if you're a home user who only needs to keep a desktop and a couple of monitors alive, you're probably overpaying. The unit's rack mount form factor takes up valuable use space, and the 8 outlets are more than you'll use. Likewise, if you're planning to protect high-density equipment, multiple rack servers, storage arrays, or large UPS-dependent HVAC units, the 750VA ceiling will be reached quickly, and you'll hear the alarm go off as soon as the load climbs past the rating. In those scenarios, stepping up to a 1500 VA or higher model makes more sense, even if it costs a bit more. Let's talk about practical strengths. The first thing I noticed during a trial run was how quiet the unit is under normal operation. The fan cycles only when the internal temperature climbs, so in a quiet office the UPS doesn't become a background distraction. When the power actually fails, the audible alarm is loud enough to be heard across the floor, which is exactly what you need for a small team to react. The front LCD, while not flashy, gives you a quick glance at load percentage, battery charge, and estimated runtime. More importantly, the network card's web interface is intuitive. You can log in from any device on the same subnet, view historical load graphs, and even schedule automatic shutdowns for attached servers. That remote visibility is a huge advantage if your rack sits in a locked closet you can't get to every day. Weaknesses are more about expectations than outright defects. The 8 outlets are split between battery-backed and surgeonly, and only 4 of them are truly battery-protected. If you plug a peripheral you expect to stay on, like a VoIP phone, into a surgeonly socket, you'll be left unprotected during an outage. The unit also lacks a USB Type-C or newer connector for the network card, so you're stuck with the older RJ45 Ethernet port. That's fine for most environments, but may feel dated in a brand new data center where everything is fiber-linked. Battery replacement isn't cheap. The original sealed lead-acid pack costs around $150, and while the UPS's design lets you swap it out without special tools, you'll need to budget for that eventual expense. Finally, the unit's weight, about 30 lb, means you'll need a sturdy rack with proper side brackets. It's not something you can just slide into a flimsy shelf. In terms of daily